I'd now like to introduce Governor Sununu, who's done so much for our organization, to come on up and say a few words, please.
You know, what really ticks me off is that so many of you in this room weren't even born when I was governor. It's not right. But it's great to see you here. Thank you very, very much for letting me come and spend a little time. It is great to see the turnout that we have today. I suspect that a few of you came here to have a shower, since you don't have power at home. These are very important times. These are times in which I believe we have responsibilities to do things right. About a year ago, as this state, this country, came out of an election, those of us who believe in a system of smaller government, lower taxes, less spending, were rather depressed, because we were smart enough to see the handwriting on the wall, to see a president and a Congress, leadership in the House and Senate in Washington, that were absolutely giddy with an opportunity to change the system to an agenda that they had had for many, many years. We looked at what was happening in New Hampshire. A governor who can't decide in the morning whether he should wake up or go back to bed. A governor without the guts and gumption to stand up against radical liberal leadership in the New Hampshire House and New Hampshire Senate that send him legislation that I correctly and you correctly termed as garbage, and he signs it. He accepts an irresponsible growth in budget of 17% in the previous budget, 10% in this budget, raises 41 new taxes or expansion of taxes and fees. And then when you really look at what he's done, all he's done is spend money and never improve the quality of life. Under the Democrats we have had in New Hampshire, we have gone from one of the best rated states in terms of quality of service to a state that is today rated 50th in the nation in terms of quality of service. In the last 3 years, for the first time in 50 years, more people have moved out of New Hampshire than have moved in. This was a state that was the envy of all of the eastern states in terms of its growth. And John Lynch and the taxing Democrats in the New Hampshire House and the New Hampshire Senate are ruining the state of New Hampshire. And you're here this morning because you want to help fix it. There's a nice energy. We're all gathering together. We're feeding off the enthusiasm that we see in our neighbors for getting back to what this state used to be. I just want to stress that this is the beginning, not the end. We've reached a point where we feel good about where we are in terms of our capacity to undo what took place in 2006 and 2008, but we're not there yet. It's about 250 days between now and the November election. It has to be 250 days in which our energy increases, our message gets clearer, our reach expands, we get willing to talk to our friends and neighbors and get them into the process. We are in what I call the next layer of the onion stage. We now have a nucleus, but now we've got to move our message and our enthusiasm and our interest and our commitment out further and further and further, so that in November, this state does what it needs to do and shows up at the polls and makes a difference. One of the problems we have as a state is that historically we were a great state, an unbelievable state. a former beloved governor used to use the phrase, "This is a great state to live in, to raise a family, and to do business in." Well, we've deteriorated. In an odd sense, we started from such a high standard that what we've lost has only brought us down to we're still pretty good. And that means too many of our citizens don't understand what we've lost. We must talk to our neighbors. We must get them to understand that when John Lynch puts through a personal income tax on LLCs, on small businesses, he breaks his pledge and proves that his sweet talk of a campaign has nothing to do with the way he governs. We need our citizens to understand that the 400 members in the House have a responsibility to maintain the New Hampshire tradition of low spending, low taxes, local control, and smaller government. And what they have there now is a radical, liberal, democratic agenda that has to be swept out. They have to understand that we have a New Hampshire State Senate that doesn't care about the rights of the individuals, or doesn't care about the fact that the tradition in New Hampshire of self-reliance and the rights of the individual are important. They're running New Hampshire with directives to the Division of Revenue Administration that in essence creates a pay czar. You know, everybody laughs about the Washington pay czar. They are establishing rules now that will limit the amount of money a small business can take out as salary. And just the other day, they proposed a piece of legislation which will put a price czar team in place in terms of health care. The national press thinks it's improper for us to talk about the fact that President Obama is trying to socialize America. Every little slice of government expansion at the federal level and at the state level moves us in that direction. So we're here today. We're happy about what we've done as a party. We're happy what we've done as citizens. We embrace those citizens that are as angry as we are and may not want to put the Republican label on, and we embrace them and urge them to stay active and agitated. But all of a sudden we have gone from a point where we recognize problems to where, with the success we have had in energizing ourselves, we now have responsibility. We have responsibility. We must do it right. And that's why you're here today. You're going to hear from what I consider a great speaker who made us proud the other day when he reminded the president what it is to be an American and not a European. When he pointed out that we have a set of principles in this country that are important to us, and who has been fighting all along to restore fiscal sanity to the system. All those issues are issues we understand well in New Hampshire. And so you have a job. You have a responsibility to listen. You have a responsibility to learn. And if you'll all excuse the language, you have a responsibility to stay pissed off, because we need to carry the message you will hear to our friends and neighbors. Barack Obama, Harry Reid, Mrs. Pelosi are bankrupting America. John Lynch and the Democrats are ruining the state of New Hampshire. We have 250 days to expand our numbers, transfer our energy, put things together, clean house here in New Hampshire, and get ready to make sure that President Obama is a one-term president. Thank you very, very much.